Get ready to embrace the truth as we bring you the most hard-hitting stories and unveil the real facts. Welcome to Hard Facts.
I am Maryann Okon, and this is Hard Facts, where we separate truth from fiction. We're passionate, hard-hitting stories that matter. Get ready to challenge your perception and discover the real world. Let's dive deep into the issues that affect our communities, revealing the untold stories and giving you a voice. No sensationalism, no bias, just raw, unadulterated truths. I am committed to delivering news without compromise. Hard Facts as we know them, when we know them, how they affect you. Every Monday through to Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. This will be your most authentic news experience starting now on 99.3 Info. Let's talk.
Six minutes gone past the hour of 3 o'clock, welcoming you officially to Hard Facts. This is the nation's #1 talk news and sports radio station. As usual, this is an abridged version of the show. And until we get to the finals of I Beg to Differ, what you have on the 3 o'clock hour is definitely going to be the big hard facts. My name is Maryann Okon, and this will be, ladies and gentlemen, your most authentic news experience. And you can take that to the bank. All right, I did promise today that we're going to be talking about open defecation in Lagos. I did tell you something earlier this year. I think, if I'm not mistaken, in January of this year, residents in and around the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway had raised alarm about the incessant, use of the roads, the main roads, the sidewalks, the curbs as bathrooms for Lagosians. Yes, in other words, open defecation has not just become a problem, but a health hazard. And in 2023, if I'm not mistaken also, the Lagos State government did promise that they were going to deal, June of 2023, the Lagos State government had said that they were going to deal with the issue of open defecation and deal with it head on. Here we are, January of 2024. Same issue is still a front burner. And that's why I decided to remember, I tried to get the LASEPA boss over and over and over again, but he seems to be dodging me like a bullet. But I decided to bring a physician into the studio, a public health physician into the studio to talk to us about the health hazards that come with open defecation. And for many people, yes, it's time for us to talk about it. But many people will also say that Lagos, most of us, were the ones that are causing this wahala. My guest is joining us live in the studio this afternoon. He came very early guest. He should be a journalist. Dr. Doyin Odubanjo is a public health physician. He has a very long bio, and I can't go through it because, this guy is a scientist, he's an international this and that.
I'm living now.
Dr. Doyin, it's so good to have you in the studio. I know that I booked you like months ago and you finally decided to show up. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And I know because you're a Lagosian, you lived and worked in Lagos for years, mainland, island. So you obviously would notice what we are talking about, which has gradually become an eyesore. And then you're my jogging partner. So we see some things when we go jogging. Why do you think that Lagos has, because I saw a video, let me digress a little, yesterday of a lady who came to visit Lagos. You know how Abuja people don't like us. They always have something to say about us.
Jealous.
But she did make sense about the fact that Lagos is stinking. And she emphatically talked about this issue of open defecation. Why is this a thing that's attached to Lagos?
Well, it's not just attached to Lagos. It's attached to Nigeria as a whole. I think as of, we have 774 local governments. Only 100 thereabouts, or 104, have been declared free from open defecation. So that's spread across the country. The only state supposedly declared free is Jigawa, strangely.
Interesting.
So we're all culprits in Nigeria, as it were.
Well, yes, because again, many people would ask, and maybe some people would say the question I asked is a stupid question, but it's very important because Lagos is supposedly the economic capital of Nigeria. In other words, it's the New York, it's the London, of Nigeria, where much more of a melting pot. So you have people from different places doing businesses, international and globally. So why would we have a stinking city?
I think exactly for the same reasons you just mentioned. So Lagos becomes a melting pot. Lagos becomes the destination. Lagos is that place that people say, not just in Nigeria, but in Africa, West Africa, carry their bags and say, I'm going to Lagos. You say to do what? You say, I'm just going to Lagos. Where will you stay? I'm going to Lagos. What will you do when I get to Lagos? And that creates a problem on its own. The fact that it's an economic capital, I always say to people, Lagos is a country on its own, and Lagos is very difficult to manage because of a migration problem that you have. The people coming in. You were talking, Japa, but people do come into Lagos.
Well, yeah, because again, Nigeria runs that, like a one city state kind of country where, everybody just runs into the city. And in Nigeria's case of city is Lagos. Lagos
and
is
of course
the big
that
apple.
makes accommodation very expensive. Which also means that there's nowhere to stay. So the people just hang out wherever, and therefore they will do the number 2 wherever. So
for public health reasons, let me ask this question. When I was younger, I think I've told this story before on the radio. When I was younger, on my way to school from my grandfather's house, which was just 5 minutes away from my secondary school at the time, you would meet in that 5 minutes walk, you'd meet at least 2 different public toilets.
Right.
And at the time, we didn't have these ones that you can move. They were built, and you'd see it written boldly, public toilet. And then there'll be 2 people, a gentleman and a lady, sitting there holding toilet tissues. And what you do is you pay and you get a tissue, and then you go into the bathroom.
Right.
But then years down the line, these things have disappeared, especially in Lagos. Even though I hear that under the Ambode government, there were things like that, the ones you could move, the red ones.
Right.
Where are they?
Well, I think when you talk about open defecation, you must talk about water, sanitation. And hygiene in general. So the question is, if you don't have water, for instance, water supply to those toilets, they become very difficult to maintain. Not impossible, but very difficult. And again, you must look at the system. If you do collect money, which is a reasonable thing, where does the money go? So if that money disappears...
for the upkeep of the place, I guess.
Well, if it goes just to the upkeep of the person standing there, at the end of the day, the place is going to run down because no money gets to maintenance, as it were. So there are those issues. I think at the time, the government in Lagos actually came up with a little solution, which I thought was good, which is to ensure that all the fuel stations and such places kept their toilets open for the public. Now, for me, they could charge a token by law. You could allow them to charge a token by law. But that definitely was a solution, because sometimes people run into a restaurant or whatever and they've locked it up and they're holding the key that you haven't bought this. You go to a fuel station, they say, no way, they've locked it up. But the question is, when people feel like, when they're moving around in traffic or whatever, where do they go?
Big question.
So if you can't find where to go, and just a few years back, we had a high-ranking politician who fell into the lagoon.
Oh, gosh.
Because he needed to do number 2. He was in the news. People said suicide, blah, and the driver said, as far as he's concerned, no, we're coming from the bank. And the man says, stop for me quickly. And then he ran off to the water side. And those there said, well, it looked like he wanted to do number 2, and he slipped. So that's the kind of thing we need to answer. Where do people go? Because they are humans. They will have to go sometime.
Yes.
It's
a call of nature.
Yes. So you have to make provision for it, one way or the other.
Why? But again, I mean, as far as water and sanitation is concerned, we're supposed to be top on the list, right? I mean, we're surrounded by water. Also there's that conversation of water board has not been waterboarding. That that's another issue in itself. But Nigeria has appended its signature to so many things. When we talk about these SDGs or health, we're very quick to append signatures. But when it comes to implementation, we take a back seat. Why?
Well, we for this one, I mean, the records say that we have tried, however, not enough. So we do have a target of 2025. To end open defecation. So we did move. We moved from about 50 million people defecating openly to about 48. So
That's not significant, is it? It's nothing.
No, we must recognize that we moved.
That's a joke.
That's
joke.
with increasing populations. We still moved. So the question is, we're not moving fast enough. So why are we not moving fast enough?
Is it a policy problem?
Yes.
Is it I don't know. What is it?
Right. So that's the issue. I think it's a policy problem. Because again, if you look at saying, oh, can we build public toilets? You'll come to big problems. If you build one toilet for 10 million naira or 50 million naira, it becomes an white elephant project. So you have to ask yourself, what are the simple solutions we can have? And I think they're available, just like the one they said. Let the fuel stations and things do that. Allow them to charge 100 naira. Whatever. People would pay that, to have a nice, clean, non-smelling toilet to go to. I think people will pay, to have those things.
Aside from, the people who are traversing or using the highways, there are many people who are displaced in this country. So let's talk about water and sanitation in the IDP, holding centers. And for those who, it's not everybody who's in an IDP camp, like you said, we've seen people sleep on top of cars, sleep by the roadside. Water and sanitation in those places, how do we deal with that? Because those ones are not traveling on the express.
Well, it's a whole project on its own. And indeed, for public health experts, they do know that when you have IDPs, when you have situations like that, and you put people in camps, those are major things you focus on. You even prepare because you have that huge population, sometimes bigger or much bigger than what you plan for and what the camp is made for. So you still run into problems of sanitation, hygiene, water supply. And so again, you have a backup preparation for outbreak of diseases, waterborne diseases, because of that situation. So those are the places you take things like cholera vaccines to. You are ready for it because there'll be problems in that regard, more than likely. But again, the better your camp is, the less likely that is going to be. So if you have the wash provisions in there and it's effective, it's efficient enough, you are not supposed to have those outbreaks.
There was a time, I think I was still in Port Harcourt back at that. I think it was 2015 or 2016, where some of the women and the girls in these IDP camps were subjected to having to use their bodies to get water and, to shower or use the bathroom in these IDP camps. But that's a conversation for another day. Let's talk about our values as Nigerians.
But that's also a conversation for the city of Lagos. Because
yes.
if people have, that's one of the problems, the health hazards. If people have to actually go out, you can imagine in the middle of the night, a young lady needs to go and she has to go out, go stand in the bush.
Of course. Safety problems also.
So there's a young man looking who then attacks,
Very
rapes,
true.
So those things do happen.
Need to be considered. I want to talk about our value systems because I've had to apprehend a colleague before and say, you're famous. Why do you have to stop your car in the middle of the road and go? Like literally just whip it out and go. It's a thing that we see happen here. But when you go to other countries, it does not happen. And so do we also need to reorientate ourselves in terms of, going? Because even women do it. You just see, it's the most embarrassing thing for me. You just see a woman just comes and crosses there and just does like this. Like, madam, have some decorum, please. So let's talk about that. Well, as funny as it sounds, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, but I think the idea is that we're used to not having, the provision of a toilet. So what that means, let me break that down. What that means is that I'm going to hold it in when I know that 2 streets down the line, I'm likely to find where to use. But if I'm holding it in, I'm in Lagos traffic for 2 hours, or I'm on the highway, I'm traveling, there's going to be nowhere. In the next 4 hours, there's nowhere except that roadside. So why hold it in now? What am I holding it in for, as it were? So I do agree with the orientation issue. But my point is that what are you, holding back for?
But whether there is a place or a stop or a house you can beg somebody to use their bathroom, some people are just very okay with going in public, just wherever, just, they don't care. There might even be a place just next to them where they could have just said, please, can I use your bathroom? But I'm saying it's not necessarily inculcated into our systems anymore.
Actually, some enjoy it.
Oh, gosh.
It's a feeling of freedom, that you can do what you like whenever you like. Yeah, so there's an orientation problem, actually, yes.
Because I also remember growing up, you'd see a lot of don't urinate here by order. Don't do. That's because people just don't care.
Yes, but it's difficult to tell anybody don't. That's
it's not a bathroom, obviously.
Yes, but it's difficult to say don't because he tries the restaurant, they chase him out and embarrass him. He tries the first station, they look him, up and down and send him be away. Even point to the side of the fence and say, go right there. They have a toilet there, but they tell him go right there. So he is faced the embarrassment, and there's no point facing another one.
Let's talk about the health hazards that come with this, because the story that I picked up on this year, I think 4th of January this year, the residents, I have a picture I'm looking at here, the residents of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway lamented the continuous open defecation on the reconstructed drainage system. In fact, Punch newspaper reported that the trend had become rampant as miscreants defaced the median of that road with feces, thereby causing pedestrians who cross the expressway to cover their noses. Is that bad? Now, they're also raising alarm about these strong smells that ooze from these areas, that, it's dangerous to health. Let's talk about the dangers that come with it.
Yeah, well, so the first one, maybe the least one, is what you just mentioned, which is the air pollution. So you can imagine living nearby. You can't open your windows. The smell in there just,
oh gosh.
You want to have a meal, you can't have a meal.
God.
That smell is horrendous and it's tormenting you day and night. It's not going away because there is replenishment of the feces, as it were.
Is that the word to use? Well, as funny as it is, it's terrible.
Yeah. So that's the least of the problems, but it's a serious problem nonetheless. But then you go to, I was actually thinking that you don't escape anywhere. That's why this is a common problem for all of us to be worried about, because people can think, I live in my nice house in Ikoyi, in VI, in Lekki, but just, behind your house somewhere, somebody is, defecating openly. What happens to the fly that you saw in your house? Where is it coming from? As that fly...
Doctor, please.
You asked for it. So...
because these things carry...
It's just coming from that place that you thought you had no business with. You thought it's none of your problem. You're sitting in your house. You're watching your nice 80-inch flat screen TV, AC on, drinking the chilled drink. But then you have the nice chicken in there, and then a fly just perches on it, and you just wave it off. But you don't know where it came from. So it just came from that place you were not bothered about. So that, and then the next thing you say, I don't even know what happened to me. I've been having diarrhea. Where did you eat anywhere? No, I didn't eat anywhere. I only ate in my house. So that's what we're talking about. The disease transmission.
I'm worried.
We should be.
Now I'm really worried.
You should be. So every fly is a culprit. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know what it's carrying. And of course, you get direct seepage into water bodies. And
yes.
People that use those water bodies for all kinds of things. Let me also make that worse.
Oh, please don't say the akara that I buy on Saturday morning. Oluwa.
Let me make that worse for you. So that akara, the water source, only God knows. Whether it's
we have to go on a break. Dr. Doyin Odubanjo is in the studio with us, and we're talking open defecation. We'll be right back after this break, Lagos.
learning platforms. At African Virtual Campus, we provide reliable platforms for live classes, e-library, grades, discussion forums, and the student information systems for applications, admission, payments, etc. Guess what? Our first-time clients will get the next subscription for free when you pay for the first subscription starting from February to April. Please call 0706 289 7006. That is 0706 289 7006, or visit www.avclearn.com. That is www in small letters avclearn.com for further inquiries and a free demo. AVC, we link learners everywhere.
This is an infomercial.
The home of entertaining conversations.
I personally think Liverpool of last season that lost the title were better. That's my personal opinion.
Somebody who has the virus refused to isolate. That's even attempted murder, in my opinion, because you know how dangerous this virus is and you refuse to do the right thing. It should be a crime.
99.3.
A young man like me, looking for what I'll fed myself, and police are collecting my money. It's evil. Okay, later I will say Yahoo. I'm not doing Yahoo. I have a laundry shop.
Your number one station for talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Credible journalism, bridging the gap between people and those in authority. With Hard Facts, you are sure to get only the facts.
Tune in to Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
This is Hard Fact. 99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
The last two quarter-final matches of Nigeria Info's I Beg to Differ debate tournament continue on Tuesday. At 4 o'clock, Anthony Ndukwe Anaha will meet Ebitari Marvelous Kuku to debate the topic. Female quota in public offices should be mandatory. And at 5 o'clock, Adepetu Adenike will face Mushafa Farida on the topic. Humanitarian affairs, disaster management, and social development ministries should be scrapped. I am Yvonne Ohaifo. Join Femi Obong Daniels and me from 4 p.m. on Tuesday to catch the action. I Beg to Differ Season 7. 32 debaters, now 8. One winner, 1 million naira. Sponsored by May Brands, supported by Obiwizi and Just Food. For sponsorship, send an email to info@nigeriainfo.fm. I Beg to Differ, a tournament of champions.
In commemoration of the International Women's Day, Nigeria Info 99.3 presents Women in Leadership Conference 2024. The live radio panel discussion will feature incredible female leaders and speakers from all walks of life. Tune in Wednesday, 6th of March to listen to leading women discuss the challenges women in leadership positions encounter, frequent obstacles women aspiring to be leaders deal with, major achievement by women in leadership positions, women empowerment and girl child education, and much more. The live radio panel discussion broadcast will hold this Wednesday at 4 p.m. Women in Leadership Conference 2024. Nigeria Info. Let's talk. In commemoration of the International Women's Day, Nigeria Info 99.3 presents Women in Leadership Conference 2024. The live radio panel discussion will feature incredible female leaders and speakers from all walks of life. Tune in Wednesday, 6th of March to listen to leading women discuss the challenges women in leadership positions encounter, frequent obstacles women aspiring to be leaders deal with, major achievement by women in leadership positions, women empowerment and girl child education, and much more. The live radio panel discussion broadcast will hold this Wednesday at 4 p.m. Women in Leadership Conference 2024. Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
There's a reason why over 1 million people tune into Hard Facts every day. We discuss in-depth stories with sources behind the facts.
The Lagos State High Court has convicted, suspended the Chicago's Defecate stories, never going away, is it? Show with stories for the day.
You hear diverse voices and opinions.
And she was meeting campaign with her husband, knowing that.
You should not put happy because there is nothing to happy about.
Yeah, it's quite pathetic the way the country is going.
We distinguish each story accurately with analysis.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
And we're back. It's still Hard Facts. 99.3 Nigeria Info is the station and the frequency. Well, the program is Hard Facts, and on today's abridged version of the show, we're talking about open defecation in Lagos State and the health concerns that accompany it. My guest is Dr. Doyin Odubanjo. He is a public health physician. He's a scientist. I'm going to say everything before he leaves the studio, because if I invite him, he will not come. Mm-hmm. So I will try to read out everything and give him his flowers. But before we went on that break, Doctor, you were talking about, some of the health concerns, even the ones that we don't think that much about, the flies. While we were off, the mic, you talked about something else, buying things.
We were connecting the dots.
Hey, please do the connecting. I'm just going to listen.
We're just connecting the dots that nobody escapes this. So this becomes a problem that we all should be worried about. So when you were talking about your akara, and people talk about the street food, and how they're so nice, so sweet, but then the water being used, where is it from? Even those who sit, sometimes, of course, your akara is probably safe because it comes out of the hot oil when you buy it, so you're happy. But what about the guy who sits down to buy rice and beans and this and that, and they give him a plate and serve it
businesses now.
Well, I'm trying to help it.
Okay.
So that they all do the right thing too. And the idea is that they wash those plates with what water? And who's been defecating where? Is that getting into the water they are fetching from the streams or wherever and using? And of course, I was then saying also that we need to ask ourselves questions. Lagos is that place I joke about, and I say, on my way home, I can actually buy enough food to cook soup in traffic, and I can shop and furnish a house in traffic on the way home in Lagos. But the question is, all those guys selling stuff in traffic, where do they go when they need to go do the business? And when they do go do the business, do they wash their hands?
Oh, gosh.
How do they wash their hands? With what water do they wash their hands? Before they sell you that gala, they sell you that whatever, they sell you that snack, that drink, and you grab the same thing from them, that their hands touched it. Of course, I assume you sanitize the bottle of water you bought, isn't it? And I trust you, Maryann. You always pour sanitizer on that bottle of water.
No, but I sanitize my space. When I get to work, I do all of that. But I really don't buy water in traffic. Like, I really don't, because I don't understand what the water in traffic is. That's my only reason. It's not that I couldn't. It's just that I don't, because I don't know what that water is.
Whatever drink it is.
I also don't drink. Yes. I drink only water.
Okay, good.
So I'm a little safe.
Good.
in that regard.
Little, yes.
But I'm also I'm not always posh. I like a little once in a while road streets. So that's where I'm worried.
We all should be worried. Because again, what somebody gets from wherever, but that person is your friend. There's a chance of transmission.
Yeah.
In all our nice posh houses, we have these water failures every now and then.
Yes,
hygiene becomes a problem. So we all should worry. I mean, the typical case they teach in public health is the case of a lady even tagged Typhoid Mary, back in the day in the US. And she was a cook, but she was an asymptomatic carrier of cholera. Of typhoid fever, rather. So it means she wasn't sick herself, but the fact that she was a cook working for people,
she was spreading it.
Yeah, she was giving them, and people were getting it, and it was said that she probably infected 50 to 120 people.
Gosh.
Before they forcefully quarantined her.
You know, you just brought something to my mind. How much emphasis do we place on cleanliness in kitchens where food is sold to more than one person? When
you said that, I went to a very popular restaurant. Of course, no names here.
No names, please.
Yes, and I did point. I want rice. I want dodo. I want, and they served it. Nice, popular place. Served the thing, and then the guy picked the dodo and used the fingers to remove it from the fork. And I looked at him, and I said,
"Oh, you're paying for that food because I'm not eating it."
I said, I can't believe you just did that. And he said, "What?" I said, "Your fingers." He said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm not taking that one from you."
No, sir, because I don't know where your hands have been.
Yes, and I couldn't believe that in that place.
He found nothing wrong with it.
Yes, that could be done. And that guy thought I was just being noisy, being difficult.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask. I said, "Get me your manager." And I told the manager what happened. I said, "I can't believe that guy did that." And he didn't think it was a big deal.
Because, again, back to what I said, there is probably zero to no emphasis on cleanliness in,
so the question it raises is that what happens behind the scenes? If he did that in front of me confidently, then I'm saying to myself, what happens in that kitchen behind the door that I don't see?
Well, let's talk health and sanitation, water. For those of you who run food businesses or whatever business, anything that we have to ingest. And for those of you who have to, have had the call of nature, how have you had to deal with it? And how often do we wash our hands? Or did COVID go with the hand washing? Because, we thought that it's just COVID.
Went with COVID.
Yeah, hand washing went with COVID, and that's it. But then there are other things that have to do with hand washing. So let's talk Lagos. 0700 993 993 993. Are you part of the people who are spreading the diseases, waterborne diseases? Or are you one of those who's trying to reduce it? And for those of you who own food businesses or businesses of things that we have to put inside our bodies, do you make it a thing to wash your hands at every opportunity? You know what? Even when I'm cooking in my house, I can wash my hands 10 times.
Right.
Because I just feel like you're touching new things. So I put seasoning, I wash my hand. Right. I think it's just...
But I think for those places, also the question is, do you make provision of clean toilets?
Yes.
Of clean toilets and running water?
Yes.
Do you make it a priority?
How do you have a kitchen without water?
Oh.
Let's go to the phone lines. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts. Oh, sorry about that. Do call me back if that was you. Hello.
Good afternoon, Maryann.
Good afternoon. What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from?
Lucky Lola from Maguru.
Lucky, go ahead.
Yes, I greet your guest.
Maryann,
I want to thank you for, bringing all these topics again. That place you mentioned, that Lagos-Ibadan Express and Lagos-Ibadan Express Road, especially that beggar to Kara, I'm telling you, is very worse. My church is located at that place. Whenever I'm going home from night vigil, man, crossing the road, you hardly find where to even put your leg. I'm telling you. Let me use this opportunity to thank the Lagos State Governor. There is a structure they erected very close to my bus stop. It's a public toilet. A public toilet, yes. When you are going outside of Lagos, just at my bus stop, very close. I want to thank them. At least they do good to make us see them done. This should not be only at that Magu. They should do it at every bus stop.
The whole stretch.
Welcome development. Have a nice day.
Lucky, thank you very much for calling. Interesting. Hello.
Good afternoon, Maryann.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Please turn off your radio, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, doctor.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay. So, talking about the water bodies, I made one observation too. When I was
turn off your radio,
in
please.
A particular area in Lagos. So the activities of all these, what would I call them now? Would I call them juju doctors or whatever they are called? Ritualists, basically, herbalists, whatever their names are called. What they're doing in our water bodies is just something else too. I think the authority needs to even look at that too. They put all manner of stuff inside the water, live animals. Stuff, unimaginable stuff. Yeah, all these things should be checked. I mean,
Okay.
No, but nobody is even telling them that, okay, you are doing your stuff. Well, do your stuff. Have a place. In my village, where I didn't grow up in the village, though, but there are shrines now. You should go to shrines. Yeah, they have shrines where they do all their stuff. But not in the water body where the water is flowing. You don't know where the water is flowing to and all that. Yeah, so all these things should be checked. These are functions of local government.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. That's another angle, Doctor.
The assumption is that when water is flowing, it takes it away.
But where does it leave it?
Well, that's the question. So it's the same way people throw in trash. I mean,
yes,
hard trash, hard rubbish, throwing your nylons, because they just see it's going away. But where is it going to?
Exactly. Where does it end up?
Yeah.
Let me read some messages here. This one says, please come to Majidun Itowolo, I hope I pronounced it well, and Ajegule Express, where open defecation is the order of the day. Some certain people who refuse to rent houses but sleep in markets, parks, shops, and on top of their bikes or roads, moto, etc., are champions of this defecation menace. I think mobile toilets should be available for them to use. Olushoga from Odonla in Ikorodu sent us this one. Okay. This one says, good afternoon. There's a cluster of people beside Echo Court, almost opposite Echo Bank office. Echo Bank headquarters office located along Uzumba Road. All of them.
Victoria Island.
Yes, emphasis. He says all of them defecate in that canal, which is beside Echo Court, Victoria Island. Wow.
Yeah,
Lagos.
That's the posh area.
Lagos.
Land's expensive.
I'm totally embarrassed.
You brag about it and say, I live in
VI.
Yeah,
you know, my office is around VI, just around the corner. Where they defecate. Benga from Yorudu here says, Nigeria is not an exception. Even when I was in the UK, there's no provision for public toilet, but they know they do for road now. He says, I remember when I went to Kent, no toilet. I had to enter a nearby bush. God, that's the Nigerian in you. God, that's the Nigerian in you. He says, do your findings. UK is a culprit too. Even at train station, they would tell you there's no toilet. Well, I don't think so.
There
are bathrooms.
Yes, in many. If I can say
in most.
Yeah, most of them would have. Yes, and even many of the places, some of the restaurants lock up and this and that.
Yeah.
But many of them you'll find a place to go. And that's why I said that's one of the reasons why people hold themselves back.
Yeah.
Of course, you see people who would wee and this and that by the road. Sometimes, especially when they're drunk, and sometimes when they just really can't find where, But again, we're talking about exceptions. In our case, it's not exception anymore. That's why we're emphasizing VI, Majidun, wherever. So it's happening everywhere.
Absolutely. This one says. Okay. Someone here says it's unfortunate in the 21st century we're still talking about open defecation in Nigeria, especially in our dear Lagos. Look, there are these health workers called Wole in Yoruba. Wole in Yoruba, sanitation officers with white top and brown trousers or skirts for the female. Well, I want to implore Lagos State government to recruit more men and women into the agency to strengthen them. Let them always be on the road at all times, and government should return public toilets, at least 500 per local government. This will stop open defecation. And lastly, the NOA should also come in and help our people and the environment by expanding their orientation towards this. Alakbe Alaba from Ojo. Thank you. The NOA does have
actually many of the major bus terminals that we have can be used. Even it can be a private venture.
Yes,
NURTW
as long as people pay to use it.
Yeah, they'll pay. Put cleaners there. It's clean.
And we have these bus parks everywhere, really.
Yeah. So once you know that, look, I just need to watch out for the next bus park, and I can get a toilet, and it's clean and it's safe. Then that could work.
Absolutely. Let me take another call quickly. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Beautiful afternoon to you, Maryann.
Yes.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
My name is Emeka from Satellite House.
All right, Emeka, go ahead.
This is a very, very auspicious topic, especially in Satellite Town. You know what baffles me the most? That someone will build shops for people to rent without making provision for toilets.
Yeah.
If you come to Satellite Town, that is the order of the day. You see people collecting exorbitant amount of money for shops, but those shops maybe 10, 7, 5. No toilet for the tenants. Now the question is, how do they do their business when, especially the females, how do they do it? How do they survive it? Come to supper time, it's a new side community road. You will find all the landlords, they have no sockaway pit. They just channel all the sockaway into the public drainage, the gutter.
And then, of course, affect our water. Hey.
You never see them one day invite these commercial waste disposal systems to evacuate their sockaway. Everything goes straight to the gutter that the government has provided in satellite town. And like somebody mentioned, those health officers, all they do is go around trying to collect levies from shops. They don't take all this into cognizance. So I want to thank Maryann Okon that you're raising this awareness. And the earlier the local government, especially the local government councils, do the needful, the better. That will have a safer Lagos.
Thank you very much, Emeka from Satellite Town. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good afternoon. My name is Doyin and I'm calling from
Afro Media.
Yes, you know that. Thank you. It's an interesting discussion anyway. But then, if we continue to discuss, if we continue to talk about it, we know that this thing is just everywhere. It's not just one place. If I start to give you account of my own account, I mean, if you give me the time, you may not leave the studio. That's by the way. But the question I want to ask, it is not as if Lagos State government is not seeing this. They've been seeing this here and there. What are they doing? If you still go out tomorrow, now you will witness the same thing. The only, I think, like my uncle Jimmy used to say, the government will just huff and puff. At the end of the day, nothing.
Okay. All right, Boyerson.
So that is the thing. Let the government do something about it.
All right. All right. Thank you very much for calling. I also think that this is where we need to also take responsibility as the public. We can't leave everything to government. Yes, government has its job cut out for it. But we also have to ensure that. I mean, imagine if you wake up in the morning and someone has done the business right in front of your doorstep. How do you feel?
Right. And I'll agree with you totally. Because of a previous caller and raised it and said people are building shops without a toilet facility. Now, all the residents around there should raise an issue and say, these things you have built.
Don't even pay for a shop because that's priority. Yeah. If it's I went to a salon somewhere, I'm not going to name the place. And I was pressed. I wanted to, pee. And the lady said, we don't have a bathroom. I almost lost it. And this was prime area. So I asked her, where do you do it? So there's a lady that lives behind. So you go. I said, what if she's not around? Right.
Then she goes to where, where. And comes back to continue your hair. So it's a sad case, So we need to raise issues about this, when people are building those things around us. We need to ask the question, where would these people go? Yeah. I can say gladly that our estate, I know the larger estate area then, had this gatehouse built that was not allowed to be used. It was used briefly and people said no. Yes. Because it didn't have a toilet. Yeah. So they had to lock it up and use another one which had a toilet. Even though that when they were using it, the neighbors there were allowing those guys to use their toilet. But people said, no, this is not right.
It's unhealthy, really.
And until that was resolved, that gatehouse could not be used. And so I think people need to start challenging these things, even those who want to rent the shops. Yes. You want to rent a shop and you say, look, where's the toilet? They say,
so what am I going to pay for? I mean, it's a shop. So I should, if you don't let me build one in, or you don't have one built in, then why am I paying that much money?
You're going to be there for about maybe 8, 10, 12 hours a day.
Exactly.
There's no way you won't need to go to the toilet.
No, it's just terrible. Someone here says, good afternoon, wonderful job. In fact, the doctor is making me scared of Lagos food now. There's a bad order at Legiko bus stop. What's that? Okay, by Bonnie Camp. He says, in fact, that place smells like, please, Maryann, raise the issue on this. You're me from Maryann. This one says, hello, Maryann and Dr. Doyin. It's very funny that I'm presently in the situation that you're talking right now. In this environment, we too they pee for roadside, depending on the situations, though. This is not me condoning the act, but just saying the situation depends. I've driven for 16 hours where there was a stretch of like 200 kilometers with no means of relieving yourself. What do I do? What I do is peer into an empty bottle. I always carry it with me. Abiodun in Canada. In Canada.
And where do you put the bottle? 16 hours. If you need to pee again,
you need a lot of bottles. I mean, I'm 40. I need to use the bathroom a bit more often. This one says, we have a very big problem on our hands. Government is not helping the situation. Kingsley Bennibo, okay, what are you doing as a person? This one says, it's true that public toilets are fast disappearing in London. The big shops and departmental stores in London city centre don't have toilets anymore. It's a recent trend to decongest the city centre. I think it's a shame though. Shadi is sending us this message. Obviously, London has joined the conversation. Someone here says, this open defecation is something, early in the morning on CMS bridges, open defecation is competition. So they are lining up. It's not even funny. She says, you'll see those boys living under the bridge doing the do. Local government should be mandated to build as many public toilets as possible in their locality. This is a big issue. Pastor Oluwatomi, thank you very much for your message. I can take one quick.
It's job creation.
Again, yes.
Yeah,
so all these people who are hanging idly, yes.
People will be employed there to clean it. It must be clean.
Yes.
And they're being paid from the money people are paying.
Absolutely.
To use the toilet. It will be enough, I can guarantee.
Yes. I actually totally support you. Somebody sent a message here saying, come to the front of the most expensive estate in Lagos, Royal Garden Estate in Aja. It is the headquarters of open defecation. It's very painful. It's really tough. Someone says, hello, Maryann, a very interesting conversation. I wasn't keen on contributing until I heard Emeka from Satellite Town calling. The complete breakdown of the local government system by our politicians will and is completely killing our society. How did town planning authorities approve buildings without such facilities? He also says, and to think that we demolished buildings months back, I beg your pardon, without approval. I simply put this at the doorstep of government. We don't have a local government at all. Chris, listening from Accra. Thank you, Chris. I can read a few more messages before we go. This one says, Ilaje bus stop, Aja bus stop is very worse. You'll literally see them doing it in the morning, afternoon, and at night.
There's no shame anymore.
I know. That's the one that worries me.
Yeah, there's no shame. I mean, actually, let's say there's no option. So where there's no option, there's no shame. You have to.
It's disturbing for me, and I really think that we also have to, one way or the other, take responsibility for our actions.
Well, if you say there's no local government, help yourself.
Yeah.
So the residents and things, you raise an issue. Oh, this building has no toilet. You can't do this. Mr. Landlord, you are our neighbor. We will not allow you.
Well, we have to go. Dr. Doyin Odubanjo is...
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, well, specifically, I'm talking to you if you're a girl or a woman. It is time for International Women's Day 2024. As a matter of fact, this week it will be happening. Now,
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria.